Your inspection sticker expired
they
last.
know. Call Joe Biden or call George Bush.
What's your driver's license?
No, there's no. I don't have a driving license.
Why not?
Go back, sit in the fucking car, and leave.
No, sir.
No?
It doesn't work that way.
Okay, so go ahead, do whatever you want to do.
Can I get your name?
No.
No?
No. People don't get a disability. Fucking. Oh, I have kids and I have a lot of fucking bullshit things. So why you fucking treat me this way?
Okay, obviously that was about to get too graphic to show, but that was Fairfax, Virginia police pulling over a guy named Jamal Wall-E, an ex-Afghan soldier who worked with the U.S. military. They pulled him over a couple months back. He started spazzing out. I hate this country. You people brought me over here. I can't get a job. You're not helping me. They started asking him about he had a concealed carry because you can get that with the green card. They end up fighting. He pops two of them. They don't die, which is good. So he has a case coming.
When I call them bullshit, the system is fucking broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're going through a really rough time.
Man, I should have served with fucking Taliban better than you. I was concerned and a fucking dumbass fuck when I was concerned about Taliban, but in America, since 2014, I'm concerned about more about you people. Because you lie, because you play games, that's how I'm going deeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are my partners here. They're coming up.
That guy was possibly in something called a zero unit, but who definitely was in a zero unit was Mr. Lochnawal. Lochnawal. That's the guy who shot the two National Guardsmen, one fatally in D.C. That's the big deal case. So it has now come out for sure. This isn't fringe journalism. They've tracked his records.
I also spoke to Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, last night, and Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces.
Several 100,000 Afghanis, including this Wall-E who shot the cops in Virginia, and now this Lochnawal, who unfortunately took the life of the guardsman in D.C., were processed and vetted faster and better than any immigrants almost ever in history because they had been helping the U.S. military, some of them for many years. Lochnawal, the guy who did what he did in D.C., he's 29, he has a wife and several children. And once Trump came back into office and kind of messed up the path to citizenship, he started having a hard time getting a job. But he had been let into the country back at the end of Biden's term. Remember when we fled to Afghanistan after that totally pointless.
He would have been vetted by the U.S. government, including the CIA. And then once he was granted temporary asylum, as he applied for permanent status, he would have gone through a variety of different layers of vetting. Those include identity and background checks, biometric vetting, in-person interviews, assessment of an individual risk, and eligibility under U.S. law. So that's several layers. And it's important to remember, too, the ultimate approval and of his asylum application was granted under the Trump administration in 2025.
Important in the context of the president and allies saying that this was the policy of the previous administration to let folks in without vetting. Important to keep that in mind. Zach Cohen, thank you so much.
Time of being there. Well, I guess it wasn't pointless. A bunch of people made a bunch of money. So there's several 100,000 Afghanis in the country that fought in some capacity for the U.S. and may be very bitter now that they're being denied access to full citizenship. You can't deport them. I mean, I hope he wouldn't deport them back to Afghanistan. That would be a death sentence. And a lot of these guys are trained, hardened soldiers. These are not Mexican or Honduran men who ran across the Rio Grande because they want to get a job so they can send money home to their family and are going to be in a Home Depot parking lot. These are hardened soldiers. And specifically, Wall, the guy that did the D.C. action, he was part of something called a zero unit. Starting at the age of 15, his zero unit was connected to Ahmed Karzai. Ahmed Karzai, if that name sounds familiar, he was one of the brothers of the president. And Ahmed Karzai was also, per Interpol, per WikiLeaks dumps of CIA internal documents, he was the biggest opium grower. Well, they would grow the opium, turn it into heroin, and sell it to customers in the country. Interesting Detroit connection to that. If you remember from my Motown Mafia documentary, and we got part 2, Beyond Street Dreams, wrapping up now. Back in the 70s, the Brown family and the Jackson family were getting massive amounts of H from the Gambino crime family in New York. They had a huge, one of the biggest rings in the country, so they did time. They get out. Courtney Brown, the second in command, meets an Iranian in prison, and we'll tell you their adventures. But long story short, when they had an even bigger run during the 90s, which culminated in them getting caught. They tried to do one last deal in like 2 or something, like when the Afghanistan stuff was what is it, 9/11, 2001. Yeah, so, 2000, okay, so 2002 or 3, they tried to do a deal, one last big deal, 18 kilos of pure coming in. The person on the Pakistani side had been compromised, but the person that was above Courtney Brown's father in the food chain, there was only 6 people in the indictment. Courtney Brown's father was the only American. Everybody else was Pakistani and Afghani. And the head lead guy, Muhammad, he worked a deal. He told something, but what he was able to tell was on activities with probably with this Hamid Karzai guy, because this was at the time when bin Laden was hiding in, well, they thought he was hiding in Waziristan, the tribal lands where the opium was grown, where Hamid Karzai would have been part of that whole scene. So what was going on with what the U.S. was letting certain people get away with, not only back then was coming home to roost in the sense of there was H coming from Afghanistan to Detroit and going into the booster projects and on a daily basis for years. Not to say that wouldn't have happened without there being a war, but the U.S. helped those guys. And this Wall, the shooter from D.C., at 15, he was in one of these zero units. These zero units are connected to CIA operations. So CIA is governed by different rules than the military. They don't have to report stuff. And a lot of them are contractors. They're not actually U.S. government employees. They're being contracted by the U.S. government. So they can do sort of different things or they can hide things. So JSOC, basically special operations, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, Delta Force, would attach themselves to these CIA groups so that they could all just kind of do dark operations that, I mean, maybe they were helping us and saving us. I'm not going to say they weren't, but they were responsible for a lot of the dark stuff. And just so, for those of you that don't watch a lot of the YouTube military thing, you think there's a lot of guys with YouTube prison channels? There's even more Navy SEALs. And there's like 3 of them who claim they're the one they shot bin Laden. So these special forces guys are... I had a long conversation. I was supposed to interview a special forces guy. He talks on the internet. Maybe, I don't know if he ended up not wanting to be interviewed by me or our logistics didn't work out. I'm not going to say his name. But he told me some pretty... It wasn't mind-boggling once I thought about it, but, and this isn't secret information, the personality profile of special forces. It's almost exactly like a psychopath, except in one area it's turned to have respect for authority. So you can make him a soldier and send him somewhere and say, well, the people in that house, kill them. And they don't ask questions. Well, it's children, it's this, it's that. Doesn't matter. So not only are these several 100,000 Afghanis that are damaged. To finish my thought with Wall, at 15 he was part of one of these zero units, which were Afghanis that would be connected to the CIA and the SEAL stuff, and they would do things that they didn't even want the U.S. contractors or the Navy SEALs doing, things that were totally illegal, line people up against the wall and kill them. And he was doing some of it for this Hamid Karzai in aid, in effect, of his opium trafficking. So
there is a stunning new report this morning claiming that the brother of Afghan President Hamid Karzai is on the CIA payroll. Senior White House correspondent Bill Plant has more on that this morning. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning to you, Harry. Ahmed Karzai has long been a kind of poster boy for corruption in Afghanistan. The U.S. has a prickly relationship with Afghanistan's President Karzai, but it has been openly critical of the president's brother, Ahmed Wall-E Karzai, long suspected of involvement in the country's booming illegal opium trade. The new report says the CIA pays Ahmed Karzai on a regular basis for a number of services, including helping to recruit a paramilitary force that operates at the CIA's direction.
The timing of this revelation.
You have the CIA creating a 15-year-old assassin to help their opium warlord. And again, this is mainstream. I'm combining a bunch of articles, and this is all just coming out, but the paperwork, they got that work, as they say on the urban internet side. He was a CIA hire, let's say. He was in the zero unit. You're going to hear the PDF file word thrown around too, because I'm a little dubious. They say that there's this custom amongst a lot of the Afghan warlords that were also involved in the growing of the opium, of having these T-boys. So you have these 10 to 14-year-old boys who dance, which is one thing, and then supposedly do other things. And you have all these Navy SEALs claiming they would take the boys in another room and we'd hear them screaming, but we couldn't do anything. Well, you could have done anything. See, those are the type of guys you have to have in special forces. The people that really, they'll do anything if the U.S. government, hey, you're a soldier, you'll do anything at all. You don't question anything. But as the Nazis found out at Nuremberg, following orders is not a defense. For certain war crimes, you can't just say you were following orders. If there's ever, again, a strong president, a real president, some of these military people are going to have to be held to account. And I'm not necessarily talking about just the guys in the field, or maybe they shouldn't be held to account at all, but the command and control structure that created these scenarios. Let us not forget Abu Ghraib, where they acted like that elaborate torture was, the soldiers just came up with that on their own. No way. And so, yes, this guy had grown frustrated, Wall. He was living in D.C., couldn't get a job. Once Trump got back in office, his green card thing was messed up. He was calling around trying to get help, trying to get a job. And he snapped. Again, that doesn't make it okay to go shoot 2 National Guardsmen. Just like we know of stories all around the country, unfortunately, of U.S. servicemen who snap. A lot of them are SEALs. Again, that Special Force and Army Rangers and Delta Force and all the Special Forces. And just general military guys who are exposed. Some of them, seeing their friends get blown up and children get blown up, it's very damaging. And that special operations guy, I said, is it true about being special forces, being on small deployments in different parts of the world and hitting licks, there's 400 million in gold that this dictator has. We can kill him and take it. And then because there was a series of weird things that went on with Navy. There's a good book out, Fort Bragg Cartel. It's a separate story, but lots of murder within the U.S. Special Forces. And now we have another set of nuts, disgruntled Afghans who we trained to do even dirtier work for us. And this guy, Wall, who did the shooting in D.C., was one of them. So that's some food for thought. So go read up on those. Read up on that stuff. 0 units. It's all laid out. Hamid Karzai, the brother of the president. Now, the president of Karzai seemed to be an okay guy. That was like his half brother. He had a lot of brothers. Hamid Karzai was killed by one of his close bodyguards right in his own house in 2011. I mean, it was a very violent situation over there. And there's several 100,000 of those Afghans. Some of them that feel like America owes them. That you see that Jamal Wall-E guy was, he felt cheated by America, and having battle-hardened people to feel cheated. I mean, we already have our own veterans to feel cheated. At least they feel like, well, I'm American. Imagine a bunch of foreign fighters over here that felt they should have got unpaid mercenaries, so to speak. Kind of scary. Our profit, American dope.